and a tip behind him. That's going to be a spin from Goodell. Maybe no, he catches it. How in the world did he catch that?
I have no idea, and I'm not sure Ryan Goodell did either, but he comes back onto the track. A little bit of a check up there around him. That was incredible.
And taking advantage of that, Clayton Ham. Let's take another look at this replay. The 14, all sorts of sideways, and it starts to look like the car wants to go again. That's why he went on the apron. I thought maybe he just was slow and was trying to get out of the way, but he had to save it twice. We are indeed Brunschweiler to the inside of the pair of them. That might not necessarily be the best line unless he can get it woed up in time. He's the bravest on the brakes, and he is going to get it. Wow, the 4 moves up to 5th in a 2-in-1 move. Side by side between Burns and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has the inside, but not a nose ahead at first under braking. It starts to go back ahead. They're going to go wheel to wheel through here, giving each other space. Now it's a drag race, DJ, on who gets to the line first.
And it's going to be a shorter line there for David Burns, but it's not giving any room by Johan Vanderbilt. They're going to dive down into the corner. Little bit of bumping and banging, but who's it going to be? I think it's Burns by 22 thousandths of a second.
Meanwhile, up towards the front for TCRs, this has now swapped. Waring has swapped with Hardman. That took place last time by down the front stretch. Now looking to swap back. Look at this. Ascend to the inside. Hardman runs along the curb in the hairpin and just about completes the pass and does. Battle for second now up as Wager tries to send his way in for Britannia iSports.
Wow, this is a three-way battle for that first position. All these guys are fighting for the lead. This is
3 wide.
Really nice 3 wide going into Cunningham around to Collier. I can't tell who's going to make it out of this in front of this whole pack, but it looks like it's going to still be Hardman. Andrew Hardman doing a beautiful job to hold on to the lead there.
He's been slowly working his way up through the field. I wouldn't have expected it there. Brown maybe thinking about a 2 for 1.
Wow, great heads up by Johnson, who sees him coming and gives him space, and great braking by Travis Brown. I didn't think there was any way that he managed to get side by side.
Nor did I, but he runs wide there, and that's going to open up the door back for Jeffrey Shulam.
Wheel to wheel, fighting for the 9th position, and it looks like Shulam might have it. Travis Brown cutting back underneath. He's going to fight back on Jeffrey, who's had his hands full for just about the last 5 laps in its entirety, and unfortunately, once again, he is snookered around the outside of Sayat. Finally, for the first time this year, we're returning to a previous country. And fittingly, with most of the drivers based here, it's the US that sees us come back. But of all the circuits in 2022 up until now, they've been purpose-built. Today, it'll take place on a street course. Detroit is known for being extremely unforgiving. So will the old adage, safe is fast, ring true? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 7 of the Porsche Owners Club Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. If you've never seen Detroit's circuit on Belle Isle before, it's about as rough as the rest of the town. Let's head to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to the Belle Isle Street Circuit. Situated in a beautiful park on Belle Isle itself, it rests in the Detroit River, sandwiched between the Motor City and Canada. With it being in the far north of the Midwestern United States, as you'd expect, harsh winters make this a bone-jarringly bumpy track. It's most known for IndyCar's yearly visit, but has also seen IMSA hold rounds here lately. The 14 narrow corners only add up to a mere 2.3 miles in length, but it can tend to feel like a lot more just from the sheer stress of keeping your car out of the walls. Runoff is non-existent in the majority of corners, so mistakes tend to be punished with race-ending damage. The dangers include the tight and twisty fountain section with its rapid-fire set of bends, and the frightening turns 12 and 13, which end the lap with 2 swift kinks. However, the most notorious spot on the track is the exit of Turn 2, made famous by collecting the Corvette pace car into its hungry walls one year. The first 2 turns are a quick chicane, so the extreme change of direction, plus the rise in the track as it crosses over a creek, means grip and balance can disappear in an instant. While the setup of the car can sometimes help lessen the annoyance of the bumps a little, what this place all comes down to is driver skill and daring. Precision will pay off with the close proximity of the barriers. While it isn't a stroll in the park for drivers, fans get to enjoy the beauty of the scenery, all while watching some of the most thrilling racing an American street course has to offer. Well, DJ, usually this is the town of American muscle, but for now, it is Porsche's territory.
It is indeed, and rest assured that these Porsches are going to have a really tough time around here, just as almost any car can have them. There's only one real overtaking opportunity, and that's going down into Turn 3 at the end of Central Avenue. From there, it's a lot of just back-to-back 90-degree corners. A particular area that is incredibly tricky is Turns 7 through 11. That is the fountain section. So very difficult. You may see a pass coming down the strand into Turn 7, but I seriously doubt it. The walls here are incredibly narrow. They're incredibly close to the track, and they will come out and bite you if you are not constantly on your game.
I'm expecting to see a few incidents throughout this one, and that's not anything against the driver's abilities. It's just this is such a tough course. Now, before we get to the racing, we want to mention our sponsors, which of course includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. As well as Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now for a great tasting tequila. Go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Now, as for the championship, Tom Layton has won 3 on the trot, but he missed round 5. So he is finally getting up to the top spot. But this is before they start to include drop weeks, we have to remember. So for him to already be ahead, despite a 0 score in one of his columns, tells you that he is certainly a force to be reckoned with. Travis Brown slips into 3rd. Michael Johnson only managing to stay in 3rd after he also had a bad race last time out. Corey Lotfula and then Michael Ost has gained a bit on all of them with his first second place of the season, first podium of the season up there to get into 5th. What about today's race details?
Well, Joe, as always, it's going to be round 7 here of 25, and we are going to be racing those Porsche 911 GT3Rs, the relatively new GT3s, put onto the surface. It's going to be a sprint race out here, 30 minutes, no pit stop, and there will be an open setup, although this is a very opening and welcoming league, so rest assured that drivers are able to swap those setups in between themselves.
And we talked about the force that is Tom Layton. Well, he's got 9/10 of a second over Travis Brown right now at a track where the limits are very, very much defined, DJ. That is amazing that he's found that much more than everybody else.
Yeah, to be able to get that kind of time out around here, it requires absolute picture-perfect precision and confidence around these corners. You have to know where you can take it in. You've got to know where you can back out a little bit. It is really, really impressive.
Has got to get right up against those walls, and you can see that's what he's been doing here in the last of this qualifying session. Travis might be on the outside of that front row, but Johnson's managed to get himself into third, and over a scant 3 laps that he's done that in that number 9 car. So he's sitting pretty well. However, that said, it's barely over a tenth of a second behind him, both to Mayorga and Ost there in 4th and 5th. So he's in trouble if they manage to find some time, which could be easy. Less than a tenth is just barely a blink of the eye. So they could find themselves onto that second row. As you see Ost here now coming off of the good results. And did he just brush the wall there? It's a little slow off the corner. Looks like he didn't as I go back and check on my replay, but certainly driving a little bit over the edge as the tail liked to wag out there a little bit out of turn 11.
Yeah, indeed, Joe. And that's one of the real concerns I think these drivers are going to have here in these rear-engine, rear-wheel drive Porsches. You get on the throttle a little bit too early. It's not going to be understeer that you're going to be fighting. It's those rear tires lighting up a little bit and the tail end getting a little bit happy. And, well, if that happens, that tail end is going to find itself very firmly planted into the outside wall.
No improvement from Ost that time by. Couple drivers that seem slightly out of position. Paul Newton has been down in 12th. Seems like he's not been faring well here today. Rondeau just put one better in. He goes into 15th. And let's see who else is on a good one. Ooh, Travis Brown might be improving here. The 79 coming through the fountain section. Now, it doesn't look like it's going to be a time that's going to put him ahead of Leighton, although he is way wide at the apex of 11. And there goes that deficit.
Yeah, that's not going to help him there at all. And it looks like he was able to run a little bit quicker than some of Tom's latest laps. But let's see if this is going to be any sort of improvement here at all for Travis. I sincerely doubt it, but he may have been able to find something. And indeed, he's going to be about 0.8 of a second slower.
So Travis Brown just can't seem to put this one together and get him at least a little bit closer. Based on what they've been talking about, we've heard the drivers mention that passing is so supremely difficult. Maybe this is going to be down to Travis just trying to get a good start and seeing if he could surprise Tom and just hold that track position.
Well, I think that's certainly a good strategy and one that he may be able to pull off. The only counter to that, I will say, is that with Leighton having just as much speed as he does, even that, almost a full second faster, he's going to be able to find an area to get by.
Yeah, you would think, but down into turn 3 here. Looks like Michael Ost is on another one, trying to take this flyer around to chop down the time into Loiter Way and then back onto Picnic Way, weaving back and forth, one of the slower parts of the track. And then he tries to get the throttle down as early as he can onto the strand, but he pulls over. I think he may have clipped the wall in there at one point. The car did look a little out of sorts.
Yeah, indeed it did, as we focused back here on, I believe that's Latvala, as he's trying to get some good times down. It is indeed, by the way. And you see that precarious pit exit there. Very, very thankful that we're not going to have any pit stops here today, as that is always a point of contention when drivers are coming in and out of the track from there.
Now, I wonder if we could go to Leighton again, because I just noticed that Johnson is following right behind him. Now, based on our conversations with him, I am almost certain that he's doing this intentionally. I'm pretty sure that Michael's trying to take notes as he follows his line and see what he's doing better.
I mean, it's a perfectly reasonable strategy. There are many, many accounts of drivers doing that throughout all of history. So I wouldn't be surprised, although Michael looks like he's going to pull off there. Maybe just try to get some clean air and set himself up for a good, clean lap. Yeah, I think that's exactly what Michael's doing.
Yeah, and he was just ahead of Jacob Abrams and Matthew Sipek as well. So probably making sure they could get some clean air to run as he tries to prep the car for a flyer. Looks like Leighton did not improve on that lap, so that's the one small crumb of comfort for everybody else. Abrams also not able to set a time. Unfortunately, Sipek saw his deleted, so that must have been an out lap of some sort. Not usually places that you can lose laps here, although touching the wall does delete the lap itself. Michael Johnson now on a flyer as he starts this next lap and chucks it into Casino Way. He's got 3 minutes left to go, so probably this and one more is, boy, he gets right up against the edge of the wall out of turn 2.
Well, that's how you've got to take it to be fast around here, Joe. Coming out of turn 2 there, you've really got to let the car wind its way to the outside. Good amount of curbing there. Coming into 3, nice and easy. This is really the one area of track where there are curbs you can take as you go through here. Then again, down lateral way, as you said, this is the very slow area of the track. A deceptively fast corner 6 here.
Finally onto the back stretch along the river here. Not exactly a straight, though. You can see it weaves back and forth. That's what makes passing so tough into this turn 7. The other big, heavy braking zone during the lap. Another point where he's able to finally just clip a little bit of the inside curb. Now he starts his way through the fountain section. Super narrow. Very difficult to go side by side. It's rare that you'll see that sort of racing here. And now he's just got to finish off the lap. I think these last 2 are some of the hardest corners on this lap, frankly.
Yeah, they're incredibly difficult because you've got to maximize speed, specifically coming through here on turn 13. You want to not lift off the throttle at all because it builds up that blast onto Sunset Drive here. Here it goes, and Michael's going to cross over the line. Is he able to improve? It doesn't look like it.
No, 28-1 that time by. He gets one more shot at it, and he actually crossed pretty close to the time, but I think he will see the checkered flag here. In fact, I think he's going to be the first one to see the checkers. Once again, breaking down into turn 3. I'm keeping half an eye on Travis Brown to see if he can go any quicker. I know it's unlikely that he'll be able to overtake Tom Layton. He finishes another lap. That was a slow one, it looks like. So he'll get one last shot at it himself. As we see a few more of our drivers down through the fountain section. Abrams leading Sipek here. Sipek currently sitting 8th. Abrams still way down mired in 14th.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to see Abrams that far down, but this is one of those wild card tracks that just either you love it or you hate it. Sipek, good wide line there coming through 12 as he now brings it on to Sunset Drive.
Yeah, Duncan not able to improve. Abrams crosses the line and doesn't improve. Sipek neither. Baccignone across. No, that one gets deleted. Latvala up next also gets deleted. 15 seconds left. Johnson's coming down to the line. Is he going to be able to start one more if he needs it? As he heads towards the timing line, it's going to be very tight. He is going to be able to start another one. And it's a good thing, too, because that was another 28-1. That's not good enough.
Yeah, taking a wide line through there. He's going to pull off to the side and park it, though. So Michael W. Johnson done for the day.
Michael Bolton heads into pit lane, not willing to finish his last lap. Carasay down to the line, does not go quicker. Travis Brown is up next. Can he finally get somewhat close to the 97 machine? It looks like this one should count. No, it does not, as he does not go faster. Layton doesn't improve, though, so he's still got that pull, so it's a bit of a moot point. Guan down there in 19th and last on the grid also doesn't find time. Up next, it's going to be Andrew Beckner.
All right, let's see what the 16 here of. Oh, and that's going to be a hit off of the wall. That is not going to count for Mehmet Karasay.
Karasay's already done and taken that checkered flag. Beckner looks like he doesn't get the lap in. That is now down to Sipek, but he slows as he comes to the line. So that is it for our qualifying. Tom Layton is on the pole today, and he'll be flanked by Travis Brown, but there is a distinct difference in pace there. Michael Johnson starts from 3rd. Sam Mayorga will be 4th. After that, it's Michael Ost on the inside of row 3 with Michael Bolton on the outside. Corey Latvala only 7th. Not sure what's hurting his pace out here as Matthew Sipek starts from 8th and Jad Duncan 9th. Jeffrey Shulam rounds out your top 10.
In 11th, it's going to be Andrew Beckner, followed by Doug Baccignone, with Paul Newton and Jacob Abrams behind them. Mark Rondeau will be 15th, followed by Michael Robon in 16th. Mehmet Karasay 17th, with Dung Nguyen and Ting Nguyen rounding out your 19-car field.
It's a little bit late in the day here, and as such, the sun's been beating down on the Detroit concrete, and that means it's 83 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's not exactly toasty, but warmer than you'd expect most times out here. And a little bit of wind will certainly not make life easy out on the track. Being out on the middle of a river, there's little to block things, even though you can see they do have trees that kind of dot the track. But look at how much they're blowing around, something that the drivers can look out for to try and get a sense of how hard the wind is blowing while they are in the cars. Looks like we're just about all ready to go here, DJ. Give me an estimate. Who all is actually going to see the finish today?
I think it's probably going to be, we'll have about 12 cars that'll see the finish. I think a couple of drivers obviously going to be having to take their spare car here. I think Leighton runs away with this.
I think that's a safe bet. Frankly, that 97 looks like he's got it in his hands, but he's got to finish it though. And he's not immune to mistakes. So if he has any little slip up, if he hits the wall, damages the car, it's going to make it a lot harder to try and take the victory. Because yes, he has that spare car, but he'll have to come into pit lane to take it, and they have no scheduled pit stops. So that is a big bogey on time that he'll suffer. As looks like we got everybody out there. So the pace car, no, I think we're missing Rondeau now, maybe? I thought we had him. No, Rondeau is out there. So pace car should take off and lead them on a short pace lap. They start just before 12 and 13. And then the pace car ducks in. So Tom Leighton looking for a clean start. Probably going to be watching out for guys like Brown and Johnson, getting aggressive at the beginning of this race, knowing track position is everything. Pace car is in. Leighton has control of the fields, looking for the green flag, and he's going to hold them up quite a bit of time as the green flag finally falls, and they are on it. It's not a big jump over the likes of Travis Brown, but Brown's going to slot into line behind them. Top four all go single file through the first few corners. Will everybody make it out of this notoriously difficult chicane? Looks like they're good.
Looks like we are clean and green. A lot of slicing around there in the back. That's too wide between Mayorga and Ost as they dive down into the corner. Mayorga going to be able to hold that line for now as they come down through turn 3. Couple of cars continuing to fight. I think that's Abrams there in the back.
Tip of the hat to all the drivers. They made it through turn 3 as well. Usually a scene of a lot of incidents, both in real racing and here in sim racing. But Tom Leighton already onto the strand, leading away Brown and Johnson. And behind them, it has been clean racing. There have been a little bit of beating and banging, but nobody's been spun around. I am severely impressed.
As am I. It's a credit here to the drivers in this series. They have really upped their game this season, and it's showing here on this opening lap. Good little battle starting to develop here for P5. That's Ost, Bolton, and Latvala, as well as Sipik running pretty much line astern.
Yeah, it's Formula Train being led by Mayorga, it seems, back in 4th place, and the top 3 starting to spread their wings and get away. And whoa, what's going on here is Jacob Abrams and Jeffrey Schulem going to swap spots. Oh, and Schulem gets shoved rudely to the outside by Bacignone.
Oh, and around in the back, I think that's Michael Robon.
And Schulem gets hit a second time. Unfortunately, he's right in the middle of the track. Most everybody somehow finds their way around. I don't know how around that blind corner. And he's parked it, waiting for a clear time to turn back around. As Karasay was going slow on the front stretch. How did he do that?
I think he may have been involved in that opening incident there with Robon that we saw coming through turn 12, and I think that may have been a move of courtesy to let Michael on by.
That makes sense. So great sportsmanship from them there. As we see a few of the drivers come down into turn 3 once again. We're going to take a look at the replay, see if we can break this one apart.
Yeah, that was a little bit of an over-opportunistic move there from Mehmet, diving down to the inside of turn 12. That's a very late braking maneuver. Oh, and hard into those barriers for that was Robon.
And the other drivers amazingly managing to stay out. Yeah, see, he gets shoved to the side, stays out of the wall, and then unfortunately tries to turn in when the 11 thought maybe he had a chance. That was Rondeau who just turned him around. on the second go of things, unfortunately. As we come back live, top three already spread by a second and a half or more. But Mayorga is trailing Ost, Bolton, Lotfula, all close behind him.
Yeah, indeed, Tom Layton, to the surprise of no one, setting the fast slap of the race right there. A lot of the closest here, really starting to put some moves on Michael Bolton as they work their way through turns 1 and 2.
Ooh, that was a little close for Lotfula, though. He had to slow it up to keep from running into the wall out of turn 2. And that's going to lose him a chance to fight on Bolton for now as they go through 3 and on to Fleming straight once again. Mayorga playing good defense right now, just running consistent laps, and that's not offering anything to Ost for the time being.
No, but he is going to try to be poking and prodding here. Will be Michael Ost. That's the biggest thing. We always talk about trying that mental game, trying to force an error out of the driver in front of you. Well, when you're running a street circuit like this, if you make that error, it's day done.
Ironically, our first loss of car is due to internet connection. Mark Rondeau, unfortunately, has discovered himself disappearing from the track. Jeffrey Schulem did take the spare car and is back out and rolling now, but a lap down. So the day is not looking too hot for him at the moment. Meanwhile, this red number 183 of Mayorga still has Ost in his mirrors. Bolton back there too, but Lotfula's mistake has distanced himself by about a second.
Yes, it has, and as they come off of turn 12, getting very, very close are Ost and Bolton here. They're really starting to put the screws on.
Looks like we also had some sort of issue with Baccignone. He spun it into the wall, it appears. He took a tow, and he's now trying to get that car back out there. So we'll see when he returns, whether or not Schulem will start to catch up to him. Mayorga almost looked for a bit like he was going to be under threat down into 3, but Ost did not have the pace down Central Avenue that time.
No, he did not, but I think Ost has also got to be looking in his rearview mirror. As we keep saying, Bolton very, very close behind him, so he's got to have a little bit of chameleon eyes here, looking ahead and behind, trying to figure out how to play defense, not let Bolton by, and also be able to push that attack onto Mayorga directly ahead of him.
As they come down the back stretch, still too far away. Ost needs to get those launches off the slow corners to try and get closer, to try and attack. Mayorga a bit off the apex that time into turn 7, but if you're ever going to be off the apex, this is perhaps the time to do it, as not many are willing to try and go too wide through here. Off of turn 11, that looked a little more tidy. Behind him, though, it was slow for Michael Ost, and Bolton almost coming in contact with him.
Yeah, and you've really got to be careful here. You know, you talk about that concertina effect that we always do as they work their way through 13 right now. The concertina effect under braking. Well, on a track like this that is so bumpy, you have to add a little bit more braking room to the driver in front of you because you don't know exactly where your car is going to be catching that grip because of the bumps around the circuit.
That's the one thing that I just can't get my head around on this track. Ooh, speaking of getting your head around things, here we go. Ost has got to run. He's going to dive it down to the inside of Mayorga. Mayorga almost gets a shove from Bolton, but holds on to it behind them. Also side-by-side racing, Lotfula and Rondeau. Oh, Rondeau is actually a lap car. He's letting them through. Excuse me. Mayorga is now down into 5th as Ost finds clear air. Can he run away?
Well, let's see if he can. He's already been able to pull out a little bit of a gap here, but I think that this has really kicked off a whole train of drivers trying to get on by each other.
First driver to be a victim to the awful Corvette corner coming off of Casino Way is Michael Robon. Just a slight touch with the wall, though, so don't need a replay on that one. The 929 gets it going once again. And it does look like Ost is starting to get himself a buffer zone, but now he's got lap traffic. This is Doug Baccignone in front of him, but Doug knows what's going on. He sees the blue flags. He lets every single one of them by. Nicely done, Doug.
Good heads up there from Doug Baccignone. I really, really like that from him. And yeah, as you said, Ost able to pull about an 0.8 of a second advantage over Mayorga right now. Mayorga still having to worry about Bolton behind him.
Down one spot while Ost is up one spot from where they started. Behind them, we mentioned how tough it is to pass. From 6th down to 9th are still in the same position they began this race. despite, look at how close they are on pace. It just doesn't seem to be enough to really be able to try and insert themselves into the equation. But Bolton was good on the brakes there down into turn 3. See if he can do that from closer next time around, because that could give him a chance to fight.
It could indeed. Let's see if Bolton can make that same kind of move there work. Ooh, Sipek getting a little bit squirrely there behind everybody else.
Oh, man, and you just saw on your screen, Mayorga just brushed the wall. If he didn't, it was inches to spare. And coming down into the braking of turn 7, still they stay line nose to tail into the fountain section. We're about a third of the way through this race at this point. So eventually someone's going to have to start making moves. They can't sit like this forever.
No, they certainly can't. And I got to think the impetus is going to be here on Michael Bolton. He knows he's got the speed over Sam Mayorga. He just needs to try to press that advantage, really focus on getting a good launch through the Corvette curves, get that run down into turn 3. That's what he needs to do here at this point.
As they all fly across the line to start lap 7 now. Here's where he needs that great exit. Mayorga, a little bit off the apex, but it's not enough to hinder him. Bolton gets a bit of a run, and he's going to cut this down to about 3/10 behind Mayorga. Still runs out of straightaway down Central Avenue. Whoa! And is that 45?
I think that's Karasane to win, Robon, and that was Tingguan that got wrapped up in it coming through in that pink machine.
Yeah, Dong Nguyen and Karasay came together, unfortunately, coming into turn 12. Both wound up in the barriers, and Dong Nguyen was in a bit of a strange place to try and get his car turned back around. Probably should have taken a tow on that one. Robon is going to have to definitely come into pit lane, which he has just done. And thankfully, it looks like this group of cars didn't get disrupted by that moment, although they are approaching. Oh, no, that's Michael Ost in front of them. Excuse me. He's continuing to pull away from them bit by bit as the laps carry on.
Yeah, he's got it pulled out now to about 1.8 seconds. A little bit of a gap starting to form behind Michael Bolton, and Corey Lotvilla falling to about a half of a second behind there. Sipek about 0.8 of a second behind. Bolton looking like he's on a little bit of a good run here. Just got to nail it through Corvettes.
On to Central Avenue. Let's see who's got it. And it looks pretty good for Bolton. He's a little closer than what we saw before. He'll get a little bit of slipstream, but even though he shows himself in his mirrors, it looks like he's not going to be able to scare Mayorga, or will he? No! Wheel spin coming off the turn. Bolton catches the car, thankfully, before it runs into the wall.
And that's exactly what I talked about earlier, Joe, with these Porsches in particular. You don't necessarily have to worry about the understeer problem of getting onto the throttle a little too hard or a little too early. It's that wheel spin that you've got to watch out for, and that's exactly what they got on this.
Yeah, Lotvilla has a great opportunity here. Don't think he's close enough into 7. If he can keep this distance by the time they get back around to the front stretch, that'll bode well for him. We ride on board with Corey. Look at how much speed they're carrying through here. I say it's the slowest part of the track, and still they only get down to about 55 miles an hour, and the rest of it is quicker than that before getting on the brakes. About 45 there through turn 11, and once again they pick up speed.
And you saw there, Joe, just how much Michael Bolton was pushing. He actually caught a little bit of the curb coming through turn 11, just absolutely trying to find any tenth that he can to be able to close in on Sam Mayorga. It shows you just how hard he is going here.
Okay, the critical corner once again, coming over the hump. Mayorga, that looked very solid from him. Yeah, that's too far away from Bolton this time for sure. And Corey Lotvilla definitely not able to challenge this time. Have to wonder if Sipek's got anything up his sleeve. Looks like he isn't able to follow super close, but if those three start fighting, that'll certainly be his best hope.
It certainly will, and we're getting closer and closer here to the halfway point of this race, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more frenetic moves starting to come out of this pack, just getting a little bit frustrated being boxed up behind like this.
Can't let that frustration get the best of them here. Certainly, Mayorga is doing a great job playing defense. He lost one. Remember, Ost got by. He was a little slow there coming through turn 7. Ost got by, but now he's basically doubled down and not let anybody else have the same opportunity to try and attack, although they're doing their darndest. And Latvala and Bolton almost looked like they were trying to square off the corner there.
Yeah, they really did. It looked like that Latvala got a little bit of a better run through the fountain section itself, but couldn't keep it up. This is some of the closest we've seen out of Michael Bolton, though. This could get interesting, especially with Michael Robon, a lapped car directly ahead of him.
I think Sipik may have hit the wall. He's going slow now. We'll go to that in a second, but this is very close up to the tailpipe of Mayorga, and Bolton's got a great opportunity as he closes in behind. Does he try and send the dive? He's going to look for it. No, not yet, he says.
He wants to hold it back there a little bit. That's Robon just staying out of the way of everybody right now.
Going back to check and see if Sipek actually caught the wall in 12 or 13. Yes, he did. Oh, my goodness. Need a replay on the 12. It was a pretty hard thwack. I'm kind of impressed he's still running the pace that he is right now. And it's, yeah, they're the left-hand side of the car. You can see a little bit crinkled up, unfortunately. So this one is about 60 seconds or so ago. Maybe a little longer than that since they're already coming down into the fountain section. Yeah, just before this is when Sipik had that hit. And you can see he got overtaken as he was slow off the corner. Here it is right here.
Comes through right off of it. Yeah, you can see the glance.
Yeah, that was ahead of him. We're watching Duncan there. This is where our focus was. Sipek in the 12. Eventually trying to hold tough. Credit to him. That's not easy going 2x2 there through. Oh, no, and Matthews in pit lane. So has to take that spare car. That's going to send him farther down. Oh, and Mayorga lost out to Latvala and to Bolton.
And I'm not sure what happened there, Joe. It's almost like he just pulled off to the side.
He hit the wall. He hit the wall at a 2. Corvette corner bites another one.
Oh, yes, he did. He got very squirrely coming over the hump, as you talked about, and that sent him right out into the wall.
See if we can get a replay on that one. He was doing so good all race long, and then unfortunately the cool broke. And well, this is going to allow Duncan maybe to have a pass here. Let's see if he tries to go by the 183 if the damage is that bad. Nope, not this time. Let's see if we can pull up and look to see what caused this for that red car. So it's going to be out of turn 2. The left-hander setting it up here as they come across the start-finish line.
Yeah, and so what's going to happen here is as he crosses over this bump, you can see the car just get squirrely. That rear end tries to pop out on him, and bam-o, right into that outside wall. That allows for Bolton and Latvala right on by.
And unfortunately, it looked like it hit the rear suspension, too, which is probably making life pretty tough to keep pace up here. He's starting to pull away from Duncan, so maybe he's got a handle on the car now. Maybe he feels more confidence in it now that he kind of understands what it's doing. Back to the scene of the accident. This time, he keeps it off the wall.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you mentioned there, Joe. You can sort of drive around some of those issues as long as it's not massive suspension damage to any part of the car. If you just sort of figure out, okay, I've got to put a little bit more steering lock into it. I have to be perfectly straight when I come into the braking zone. I have to trail brake a little bit more. I have to trail brake a little bit less. That really shows the mettle of a racing driver if they're able to respond to those little changes that happen when something unexpected occurs.
Well, with that big battle broken up, and it looks like he's got it under control for now, let's take a moment to look at our leader, Tom Layton. I've been keeping an eye on the gap between himself and Brown, and yes, it's about 6 seconds right now, but credit to him, we're 12 laps in, so for a gap that was 0.9 of a second in qualifying, he's kept it down to about half a second a lap that he's been losing to Layton. So he's given him a run for his money, even though he's not really a threat currently.
Yeah, it's a good run here for Brown, all things considered. And, you know, I'm sure one of the things that we're going to talk to our drivers on the podium about is, well, just finishing around here feels like a victory in and of itself.
Absolutely, and Michael Johnson is running even farther behind, though, down in third. He's been kind of on his lonesome, although is Ost catching him? I think he is.
Yeah, he is, Joe. He's got that down to about a second.
Ooh, so Michael might have a fight on his hands. Ost has been on quite a run lately. A second place last round, and now he fancies a third place this round. Oh, Mayorga just got overtaken. That's Jacob Abrams who's going to try and make it another. Mayorga down to 8th, maybe 9th, down in the inside of turn 4. Gives him space, and Jacob up into P8.
And Joe, it was the same mistake, a different lap. The 183 got a little bit squirrely coming through the Corvette curves and just brushed that outside wall, and that's what opened the door.
Sam might not have the best of handling car at this point. He's still on the lead lap, credit to him. We've got 12 of them left on the lead lap, and we've only lost one so far, Rondeau, who I think, looks like he left because his internet connection fell out again after he returned for a brief moment. But all the drivers who have had problems have taken spare cars or taken repairs, and that almost was another bit of damage for the 183. Going down his inside, this is Andrew Beckner in the 13 car, and too wide through here. Doesn't usually end well, but it looks like they've sorted it out.
Very, very closely sorted it out. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm a little bit surprised there that we are not seeing Mayorga pop down pit lane. That car clearly handling badly. Let's see if he's able to take through the Corvette curves a little bit better this time. No massive wiggle. Keeps it off the wall.
Oh, no, and Sipek just backed into the road as Jeffrey Shulam was coming through. And he's kind of stuck facing the wrong way now. He had a long time to try and back up, and he waited until Shulam was coming and then decided to go. Okay, thankfully he's heads up this time, waits for him to come along, and now, no, sees another one coming. This time the leader, thankfully he's aware of that one. He's got to wait a while, though, because now we got, and he's going to tow.
Yep. I think that's a good decision there to tow at that point. Not exactly an opportunity to try to get it. Remember, these cars do have traction control, so the old sort of IndyCar way of just popping the clutch and letting the rear tires spin around, not going to work for them.
No. And there we see a little bit of a battle now between Bolton and Latvala. While everybody else around them seems to have fallen by the wayside, these two are still in it. And they haven't dropped that far away from Michael Ost as well. So while Ost has been trying to catch Johnson, they've been trying to catch Ost, although Michael, for some reason, lost about 2 seconds to Johnson recently. Did he have a bad lap last time? Yeah, 130.3. That's 3/4 of a second off of his times he was doing before.
Yeah, and Michael Johnson just putting in very, very consistent laps as he is wont to do. So I think that is definitely Ost making a little bit of a bobble there.
Yeah, I'll have to check and see if we can figure out what caused that. If he has another one of those, Bolton's only 1.2 seconds behind, and he might join this battle to decide those spots outside of the podium. They've got 8 minutes left to go. They run at about a minute and a half around here. So we're looking at about 6 or 7 laps here.
Yeah, not a whole lot left to go, Joe, as we continue to watch here. Bolton, Ost rather, trying to pull away from a little bit from Bolton. Corey Latvala behind them. Latvala was looking a lot closer, got a little bit squirrely, got a little bit into the outside, coming off at turn 3, caught a little bit of the grass.
Yeah, 6 laps to go, it looks like. Here's Leighton just crossed the line now. Watching this trio head up into 12, 13, and 14. So tough trying to push it right to the edge with no room to spare, no escape road either on either of those corners. So if things go wrong, you're basically just stuck plowing into the wall and through the Corvette curves and onto Central Avenue here. We've Good exit from Michael Ost, trying to keep Bolton at bay, but Bolton cuts it down yet again. It was about 1.2 seconds, I said before. Well, it's 7/10 now.
Yeah, he's certainly trying to get it down there, and a good run for Bolton. He's just got to try to keep this up, keep up this pressure, because rest assured that for Michael Ost, either his crew chief or his relative is going to be showing that time coming down, and that can get into his head.
Yeah, I'm double checking to see if he hit the wall somewhere, and that's what lost him the time. And I'm not seeing anything yet. Wonder if he's just a little frazzled here and is starting to lose pace, overdriving the car a little bit. Yeah, that slow lap that I mentioned, I think he just went wide in a couple spots. Now, maybe it's starting to work his nerves, and on top of it, you can see that's lap traffic. Dong Nguyen just in front of him. Is Dong going to let him by? It's got a good chance. Yep, there he goes.
All right, so good heads-up play there from Dong Nguyen, letting him on by. Bolton able to get that gap into about 0.7 of a second here, coming down a little bit as they come out of 13.
1, 2, 3 in a line. That's 4th, 5th, and 6th that you see out here. What if we could get a ride on board Bolton and take a lap around here, DJ, to see what it's like trying to chase a car ahead amongst these caverns?
All right, well, this is coming down Central Avenue. You've got to start sighting your braking zone over here to the left, brake at about the 300-meter board, and bring it in down. You can clip a little bit of the curb and then let it ride out to the outside curving there, but careful of that grass. Again, bringing it back down again, hard to the right, clip a little bit of the curb. Don't let it run too wide. You want to brake right about at that tree as you come down now into turn 5, bringing the car back around here and brush brake through this corner. It's way faster than you think it is. Let momentum carry along the out-hand side, and now you can start to breathe a little bit. You want to try to stay here off to the sides of this backstretch because the middle is the bumpiest part. Now you brake again at about the 300-meter board here for turn 7. Avoid that curb as much as possible, and here comes the tricky fountain section. You want to basically try to bleed speed all the way through here, so slow and steady on the brakes as you come through 8, 9, 10, and then fully onto the brakes coming down into 11. Immediately get on the throttle once you've gotten by. You really kind of want to avoid that curve, although Michael Bolton caught a little bit of it. Brake here and again about the 250-meter board. Bring it on down, and then a quick little brush brake here for 13. Let your speed carry you on out, and now you are absolutely flat out. Turn 14 is going to be perfectly flat, and you want to get the car started to be along to the left side of the road here. Get onto the binders, but don't go too hard because you want to carry speed, carry momentum, and let the car wash out wide just to the perfect amount. There it is, and that is a lap around Detroit Belle Isle.
And as we take a look at them coming down into turn 3 once again, Ost is slightly out of reach. They've also been dropping Latvala behind them too, who seems to have difficulties trying to hang on. So it's becoming a bit of a 2-car fight instead for 4th, as we had 3, almost 4, sometimes 5 very early in the race. But we're going to get 2 to go next time by, as Tom Layton is just heading to the start-finish line. You know what? It might actually be 3 to go this time by.
Yeah, it may be indeed, as I try to do the math here a little bit. He's looking like he may just have enough time to get that through.
Let's watch and see. Crosses the line. Yeah, this is this might be 3 to go then. Yeah, this is 3 to go for Tom Layton. So,
and Joe, that's Travis Brown coming into pit lane. He's got damage.
Uh-oh. Yeah, he had a slow lap. I'm trying to see where he could have potentially hit it. And I think it may have been onto the strand. No, he was already wiggling there. Where in the world did he get it?
Well, he's going to be able to get back out and on his way. The question's going to be where he's going to end up. He's going to come out in 7th place, it looks like, directly behind Jad Duncan. And so he is going to have to push here. He may be able to catch Jad before this race is over.
I see into turn 3 he had an off. He didn't touch the wall, though. So, unless he touched it in turns 1 and 2. No, that one was fine as well. This is very, very strange. Well, this sends him down to 7th. Johnson gets promoted to 2nd. Ost is now up into 3rd. So this is now a battle for the podium. And Travis Brown, in his hunt to try and keep Tom Layton honest this season, seems to be just chock full of mistakes that have put him at a disadvantage. He's taken 2 wins, but then he's only had 2 other podiums. He's had 2 very poor finishes back at Hockenheim. That one wasn't necessarily his fault. And then last time out at Catalunya, he barely got himself into the points.
Yeah, indeed. And so now it's really going to be all down to him here to try to salvage what he can in these final 2 laps. 2 laps to go, by the way, with Tom Layton just crossing the line with over 2 minutes to go and us running about 1:27.
Brown might be able to get at least 1 more spot. He's chasing on Jad Duncan right now, but we're still watching the fight between Ost and Bolton along to Central Avenue. Johnson in the foregrounds. Been teasing them, but he's been keeping a steady pace. I think he knows that there's not much more he could do in this. Might as well keep the car whole, get to the finish.
Yeah, I think that is going to be the best course of strategy here for him. Not try to do anything too crazy, just get a good haul of points and be happy running away with that at a tricky race course like Detroit.
On to the back stretch. Will it be a surprise podium for Michael Bolton? Both he and Ost are up too. It's going to be a few Michaels here, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. It's just a question of what order, because you got Michael Johnson, Michael Ost, and Michael Bolton all trying to sort this out as they woe up into the fountain section. White flag just given to Tom Layton as he starts the last lap.
Yes, indeed. So Layton only 1 more lap to go around here. He's got a 25-second advantage over Michael W. Johnson. So what does Bolton do from here? Oh, and did Bolton have an issue? He just clipped the wall there. That was coming out of turn 12. Oh my goodness, so a little bit more drama here laying itself off, that dissipating our closest battle on track. He's a little off pace, but Lotvola's 3 seconds behind, so he might be able to limp this one home as long as the car is not too bad. There you can see him coming out of 3, and there in the background you can see Lotvola still looking like it's about 3 seconds, so I think he might be good. Meanwhile, Tom Layton, I don't think there was much doubt amongst many watchers, amongst ourselves, maybe even amongst Tom himself inside his head when he saw that gap in qualifying. Because Tom Layton put nearly a second between himself and Travis Brown, his rival. And when he got to the track here for the race itself, he put his foot down all the way until he saw the checkered flag and takes the win here, his 4th of the season. An absolute dominant performance from Tom Layton, once again proving that he is the deserved championship leader here. Meanwhile, Johnson going to find himself with a nice 2nd place, another bit of points to get him what he can in this championship. And a little bit of a fight here on screen. Ost takes 3rd. Bolton limps home about a 1.5 seconds ahead of Lotvola. And on screen, Abrams and Beckner. Looks like it goes the way of Abrams. Brown, by the way, wound up in 6th. And there you see coming across in 8th position, that's Jad Abrams. There are your other 2 podium finishers, Michael Johnson and Michael Ost. Mayorga winds up the last one on the lead lap with his bad damage, but that's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in enduro series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Detroit Belle Isle, here for round 7 in the Porsche Owners Club Series. Tom Layton found himself taking a dominant win by 24 seconds over Michael Johnson, who ran in third for much of this race, where he qualified, inherited a spot when there was a mystery stop from Travis Brown. We don't know where the damage came from, but we'll try and figure it out. Michael Ost was P3 as Bolton wound up in 4th. Then it was Corey Lotvilla, P5. Brown shuffled down to 6 after he had to take a spare car. Jad Duncan was 7th behind him. Jacob Abrams 8th, up from 14th. Who says you can't pass here? Andrew Beckner was 9th, and Mayorga went in reverse. He went from 4th to 10th.
Paul Newton was able to come home in 11th, followed by Michael Robon and Doug Nguyen, who was up 5 on the day, all of them a lap down. Mehmet Karasi was 14th, followed by Doug Boccignoni, with Matthew Sipek and Tingwan in 17th, 2 laps down, followed by Jeffrey Shulam, the last driver running here today. Our only DNF, Mark Rondeau, who had some internet issues.
And that's going to take us to our winner, Tom Layton. Let's see what he thought about this one, especially knowing how much advantage he had coming into the grid. Tom, almost 9/10 of a second in the qualifying. What does that do to you mentally when you sit down and get ready to take the green flag? Because that's got to be a good feeling. Not sure if we have Tom here. Let's see if we can get his mic working. Tom, do you have a copy? Looks like we might have to talk to him a little bit later. But DJ, I believe you've caught up with Michael Johnson, who finished in 2nd.
I have indeed, Michael. A pretty quiet race out there for you, but you got to feel good coming home with a 2nd place around a tricky track like this.
2nd place feels fantastic around this track. It's one of those places where you got to stay off the walls and you got to stay out of the other cars. I have no idea what happened to Travis. Can you enlighten me? Because he was gone. I had no chance of catching him, so I just figured he'd be 2nd, and suddenly I heard he was going in the pits.
He had some damage that we weren't entirely able to suss out where he got it, but the car was tracking and he got a meatball flag.
Oh man, I feel bad for him because he was definitely class of the race over me. I just didn't have enough speed. I had enough pace to stay ahead of, well, a damaged Ost, but that was tricky because Ost is really fast. I don't know if you guys caught it, but for a while in the qualifying, we were 0.001 apart until I just got a really lucky lap.
Well, I was actually going to ask you because it looked like there that Michael was closing down on you for a little while, and then you were able to just kind of pull away a little bit. Did you notice how close he was getting, and did that change your approach at all?
Well, I had some traffic issues. There was some backmarker traffic that I had some trouble with, and then I think Robon had some issues. He was going into, I think, turn 7 and missed his brake point, and he came back out. He was trying to get out of my way instead of just being predictable, and that kind of caught us up. And that's when Ost was able to get actually under a 2nd, and I just had to focus forward and hope that his damage was enough that I could pull away. And once I got him out of my draft, I was okay. But it was everything I had. Absolute perfect laps. I think I don't have any paint left on the right and left sides of the car because I'm certain I scraped every little bit of it off trying to get those corner exits perfect.
Well, next time out, it should hopefully be an easier run as we go to Charlotte and the Roval. Do you like your chances there, or is that going to be another tricky day?
Well, Charlotte is another big wall problem, especially when you go through the bus stop. I haven't looked at which version we're using. I think there's a version where you just run straight. In the infield, I love it. I've done police training there. I raced old Camel GT Light or Camel LT prototype lights there. So I know the track. I've had fun at the track, at least the infield. It didn't change too much. It's getting out on the oval and just really having time to tune the car. And I'm doing emergency first responder instructor training. I take my exam tomorrow, so wish me luck. So I've been really focusing on that and not a lot on racing. So I got to say, coming in second today after really not putting in as much time as I probably should have is a very big, giant bucket of luck. And hopefully it lasts till next week or 2 weeks from now.
Well, we hope it carries on for you, Michael. But anybody you want to thank for that second place today?
I want to thank whoever waved the meatball flag. No, I'm just kidding. I want to thank everybody: Fix Vodka, Simply, T-Mobile for Business, all the sponsors that I have on the car. I mean, everybody from the Freedom Supercars. Everyone has been fantastic all through this pandemic, and it looks like we're getting close to the end where we might actually start getting into some real life races. So the only thing I can hope is we get some, but of course, Fix Vodka, like I said, they've been a huge help. Truffle Shuffle, and of course, Porsche Club, and you guys for putting on such a fantastic show.
Well, we are more than happy to do it. Thank you so much, Michael. That was Michael W. Johnson, your second place finisher here today. Joe?
And looks like we've got Tom ready this time. Tom, you, as I was saying earlier, it looked like you had a huge margin of 9/10 after the qualifying was over. What does that do to you mentally when you get on the grid?
Hey, it doesn't do a whole lot because, once the race starts, you could qualify with a 10-second lead, but you're right next to the guy next to you. And, going side by side into turn one, you got to have this guy right next to you, right behind you, and it's nerve wracking. So I always feel a little bit nervous at the start of the race, kind of regardless of where I qualify. And yeah.
Well, and I can understand feeling nervous at this track of all places. This is definitely one of those circuits where I often hear people say you race the track and not other people. What were your big concerns coming here that you had to play it a little safe on?
I really like this track because it's easy to learn. Some other tracks have these little cut spots that you have to learn. And in this track, it's just the wall, right? So I really like it. And I'm an autocrosser, so having just this tight course where you have to be precise is just kind of like in my nature. So yeah, nothing too much going on about this track. Just got to stay out of the walls basically. And that's pretty difficult when you've got your competition breathing down your back. But yeah, everybody's just got to keep it clean.
Other than being unable to attend at Zandvoort, you're now 4 straight wins. Where does it stop?
I guess we'll see. I'm gonna keep working, keep improving, and I just look forward to having good competition.
Well, again, congratulations on the victory. Is there anybody you want to thank that helped put you on the top of the podium today?
Yeah, just like to thank FR Sport for their support. And thank you guys for the good broadcast, and thank everybody in POC for the great competition.
That was Tom Layton, your winner here today. And as I mentioned, 4th straight win of the races that he has been to. One last one that we're going to talk to. I think DJ has caught up with 3rd place Michael Ost, who also got promoted by Travis Brown's problems.
Exactly, Michael. You were able to move up under the podium positions because of Travis's problems. Did you think a podium was possible here today?
Well, actually, I'll tell you the truth. Sam was ahead of me for a while, and we got caught in some lap traffic. And I have to give Sam credit. He raced me really clean. I got by him, and I was just planning on getting 4th place. I was at one point my car got a little damaged on the left side, and pretty much I couldn't catch Johnson, but I was just trying to stay ahead of Bolton.
Well,
But what happened to Travis? I don't even know.
He caught some damage on lap 17 coming out of turn 13, just clipped the outside wall, and it gave him a meatball flag.
Oh, wow. Sorry to hear that.
Well, I wanted to ask you a little bit about that battle with Sam you were having. How much patience does it really require for you to keep that there and to not push too hard and to not overexert the car when you're in a close battle like that on a track like this?
So I'll tell you what, this is the Belle. The Belle has walls everywhere. And so I have a theory that if you keep pressure on somebody, you're more likely for them to make the mistake than you to make the mistake. So if you keep the pressure on, usually you'll find a way by.
Well, it clearly worked for you, my friend. And
yeah, you gotta be patient. I mean, one thing, I'm not usually patient, and the past couple of races I've been patient. It seems to be paying off because I get to talk to you guys more and more. So, hey, there you go.
Well, we're not complaining about it. Well, do you think you'll be able to talk to us again next time out? We head to the Roval at Charlotte.
The Roval at Charlotte. That's a really interesting course. It's fun and a Spec Miata, but I don't know about a GT3R. We'll have to see. It's got some giant curbs.
It does indeed, and we'll have to see.
Good talking to you guys as always. Definitely want to thank everybody. I mean, I have to give Tom Layton credit. That was a hell of a qualifying lap. What the hell? He's in another world. Everybody else, for racing every clean. I want to send out a special get well to BJ Fulton. He's been a little bit laid up after his accident at Laguna Seca. We hope he gets well soon. Hope he gets back on the sim and starts racing with us again.
We do as well. And Michael, thank you so much. And congratulations again on the run tonight.
Thank you. And thank you guys for putting on a good show.
Happy to. That was Michael Ost, your third place finisher. Joe?
Yep, his third podium this season, it looks like. So he's right. He's making them more and more regular. Before we go, though, we also want to thank some people, including our sponsors, such as Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com, as well as Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank. Be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to OctavioTequila.com and purchase today. And Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at CenturyRetire.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out our Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. And check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. We'll keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. As we mentioned, the next time, it'll be the Charlotte Roval. It's the same circuit that they use for the NASCAR Cup cars. It'll be Monday, April 25th at 11 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.